Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful. And rolled on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you guys buy it. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. I was like, yeah, Lucas is like, good morning, markets look risk off. That's exactly, yeah, that's exactly what it is. Let's come to the charts. All right. So first of all, let's start with the treasury, because yesterday we had a pretty good move down. And it was kind of like, you remember I was saying like, well, I don't know if I was really actively trading, if I would have cut that one, because I wasn't really expecting that. Well, it turns out that there was 15 different investment grade corporate bond offerings yesterday. So that is why the market took such a dive. There was like tons of supply coming online. So that one's a little frustrating because that's kind of like information sources that we don't really have access to. I went on like a huge binge yesterday trying to find more information about it. And like I found the places to get the info, but it's, got to be a subscriber and I'm sure it's very, very expensive. Anyways, here this morning, you're getting risk off here. S&P 500 kind of turning down a little bit. And the big news headline that I'm hearing is that Target is having an even more of a supply glut. Like their inventory is like way too much. And this is really bad for their bottom line. All right. Oil's still just kind of hanging out up there at the top. Gold and silver, well, they took a little bit of a beating yesterday, but some of it's coming back. Silver not as much. Gold and silver continues to be an interesting play. Like it hasn't been performing very well. Let's just say it. Like it hasn't been performing very well, right? But I still find it compelling. I'm still like, oh, they could maybe I don't. Yeah. Anyways, that's gold and silver, and then copper. Copper's still kind of coming down after that huge move up on the first. And then we come over to the Bitcoins. Now, something interesting is happening in Bitcoin here. Let me see if I can find it. Right here, let's look at. Oh, I hate it when it does that. When I can't access the tabs at the bottom. Let's see here. Let's. Come on. There's no way for me to do it proper. Anyways, let's just look at the dollar real quick here. Dollar is moving up, so there's definitely some risk off going on here. Move that back over here. It's already getting kind of hot in here, so let's check the thermostat. I think that it should be turning on cool. Yep. 71. Okay. Anyways, so let's see here. Let's find the tweet. It's gonna be way back here. Here we go. So there was this series of tweets. Gabriel Shapiro, tomorrow will be an exciting day in crypto law. I am respecting the embargo as I kindly received an advance copy. And then, look, Bitcoin taking a little bit of a dive last night. So something's going on in crypto. I do not know what it is yet, but let's come through here and read through things. Scoop, BlockFi is raising a down round at $1 billion valuation. Sources firm raised at $3 billion valuation in March 2021. Private valuations are being adjusted. And Bitfinex says, surprise, BlockFi, Ponzi needs another $1 billion bailout. Yeah, that's what they need, more money. What's Brannigan going on about? Let's be objective with the facts. VIX is at 25, whilst expensive historically, the path of least resistance seemingly is headed towards 20. I agree. Constructive environment for risk. That said, note VIX this year has made a series of higher highs and higher lows. Lesson: don't go chasing momentum when the VIX is around 35 or 20. When we include the 10-year yields, orange, into the equation, instinctively, I am defensive risk given the 10-year is greater than 3%. But note that last time we had greater than 3%, the VIX was 34, a very different context, market absorbing higher yields with relative ease. Lastly, let's talk about ESF. It needs a catalyst now. Aggressive rate hikes and a small probability of a recession is already in the price. The market is currently positioned defensively with some short risk, but a lot of cash on the sideline. This is an important point to ponder. What does it mean for traders? Be nimble. Friday inflation report is a possible catalyst. Yep. Any hint at peak inflation and risk is going to love it. However, an upside beat brings Brainard's notion right into focus. Be nimble. We don't need to be predicting anything beyond the next couple of sessions. We simply need to be ready to respond in either direction, not because I say so, but because either the street doesn't have a consensus view there, or because, well, okay, so he's right that there is a bit of an equilibrium there. But the thing that I'm not seeing in that analysis that I think would be really important to us here is that it looks like the treasury market is kind of positioned to move a lot lower, right? Could see yields rise to 3.5. So I think that would be a good catalyst for the equity markets to move down to that like 3,400, 3,600 target that a lot of Wall Street analysts have, right? I like the theory of Chris Seidel about the markets having a structural bid. I don't know. Like I'm always going to be going back to like what is causing the orders, right? A lot of people have just kind of blown off this rally that we've had the past week or two as a bear market rally. And I would think that if it was a bear market rally, then what we're saying is that the orders that we're getting long are basically just shorts covering. Well, I do think that is a major factor in here because there was so much short gamma, and then they had to take it. Was soon as the options expired, we started to have a bid, right? But I think it's more than that. Like we're into this period where the corporate buybacks come in. While people are scared, it doesn't seem to me that it is actually affecting like their investing propensity, which is to say, like, they're still putting money into their 401ks and IRAs. And so I think that that's why we're kind of having this bubble up. So I think that Brannigan is right in that the markets overall look kind of like, okay, no real reason to do anything too crazy, you know? But again, the Treasury, I think they've opened up the door to 3.5%. If the Treasury gets to 3.5%, that's going to be pretty nasty for stocks, don't you think? And probably for Bitcoin as well. And I'm also kind of concerned because I'm just watching this here. I mean, it was a good rise yesterday, and now they're back below 30,000. And it sounds like there's still some news to come in Bitcoin that I don't have. And one has to wonder if Bitcoin really like kicks the bucket here. Not kicks the bucket, whoa, because it wouldn't kill them, but you know, we have a pretty nasty fall in Bitcoin. If the rest of the market reacts, like if we get a singular event that is bad crypto and I see other markets fall in sympathy, then I start to get really concerned, right? Do you think Russia versus US on Ukraine territory affects that much oil? Oh, yeah. I mean, it's more complicated than that. But the end result is that the disruption from the Ukraine war is a huge problem for the oil market, right? I think that the more complicated thing that I'm seeing here, and it's really very disappointing to watch, is that the OPEC countries are kind of shielding Russia, right? So if let's go to an alternate timeline where Joe Biden is buddy buddy with the Saudis, right? Here's what would have happened. The Saudis would be like, we're going to pump as much gas as we possibly can because we know that the economy is going to be continuing to recover and we need to get ahead of it. Otherwise there'd be otherwise there'd be like a real squeeze in the market, and that sucks. And they're just going to pump and pump and pump. And the Russians will have no money. They'll be hurting real bad, because even though they can sell their oil to people, like there's too much oil and natural gas out on the market anyways. And this is very economically damaging to Russia. Their currency is in the dumps, etc., 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 right? But that's not what happened. Was it? No, Joe Biden doesn't like the Saudis because he's a lefty, and the left doesn't like the Saudis for some reason. The left would rather be allied with Iran than with Saudi Arabia, which is kind of bizarre. But that's kind of the whole power locus in the Middle East, is Saudi Arabia versus Iran, and Iran has been working for a long time to try and, make inroads with the left for some reason. So he doesn't like the Saudis. He doesn't like the Khashoggi murder thing. And so he's been mean to the Saudis. So the Saudis have said, fine, everybody can have higher oil. And then Russia attacks. And, everybody says, well, we're going to embargo your oil. But like, it's enough of a problem that they can't just like outright cut Russia completely off. And then they force everybody to use their currency to settle payments now instead of what they were doing. And that makes the Russian ruble stronger. And so their economy is able to keep going in order to pay for this war. Otherwise, it probably would be over. I think. I don't know. Listen, I'm not like a geopolitical expert, but that's just kind of like my kind of read on the situation. So here, and the relevant thing for you, Verdan, is that Goldman Sachs has upped their price target. Now they think, and they have been quite prescient here on oil. Their analysts have been calling it pretty well. Now their price target is 140. So looks to me like oil could continue to be a thing. Here we go. Well, the treasury is bid strong there, right? I kind of wonder though. I don't know. I really don't like it when I see a cross of a level like that and they have to bid it. They put like the big bid there like that. But I'm not going to trade it. I'm just going to watch it today. I'm probably going to be watching all this week because I did not sleep well last night. This baby. You know what? Like I get so hyper focused. Is that the right word? Hyper focused on the infant. Like every teeny tiny little thing that he's doing, I'm like, what does this mean? What is it's kind of like when you're watching an instrument and like every little tick, because you're in a trade, you're like, every little tick, what does it mean? Should I get out of my trade? Right? I'm doing this with the baby. You know what I mean? Oh no, he's not latching on very well this feeding. Are we concerned? Should we be concerned? Do we need to go and start hoarding baby formula? You know? Oh, so Verdun asked another question earlier that I missed. How can you know which news information is valuable if people on the news are not the people who are moving the market? Well, that's a very good question. Um, and I don't really have a good answer for that other than experience, right? You can really um uh, you get a feeling for what sort of things prompt orders, right? I think that the people like here's the thing that you got to remember with the news, okay? Their incentive is not to focus on the news stories that are going to move the market and be the most accurate on how many orders each individual news story may potentially generate. That's not their thing because that's not how they get paid. How they get paid is how many people visit their website and watch their news programs and see the advertisements, right? That's how they make money. So, what often gets pushed on CNBC is not the most useful piece of information, right? I run into this all the time when I'm doing TikToks, right? Is like if Elon Musk is in the news, then obviously we've got to talk about that. Even though uh, uh, what's going on with Twitter at the moment, probably not too important to the market at the moment, right? So you have to know from yourself what is going to be the you know what prompts orders. That's always what you got to be thinking is, okay, here's a news event, here's the current market situation, what future orders are we going to see, right? And because I think one of the big problems that retail traders run into when you're starting out is you think it's a black box, right? You say, okay, here's these variables that go into it, and then I get this answer out, right? And you might be sophisticated enough to say, well, I'm not always going to get the same answer out every time if I pass the same variables in, right? But on average, this one answer will come out more often than another answer in this particular situation, is what most retail traders believe. The problem with that is that it is not a black box. It is an indeterminate system. So there is a state inside of excuse me. There is a state inside of that box that is internal to that box. It's not created by any inputs being put into it. Although there are also going to be inputs into that box that you can't see. But the box is going to be in a state. And the state of that box is going to affect how the result that you get out when you pass your inputs into it, right? And that state is the current positioning, right? So if I have a bunch of people that are in a position that is contrary to the piece of news that just came out and it's going to force them to all get out, then I'm going to get a stronger reaction from it, right? So that's you kind of have to work that sort of stuff out. And I'm sure there's a quantitative way of doing it, but we don't have the data, the sophistication to do that. But with experience, you can get a good idea of where things go. Do you use open interest? Well, yeah. So but on a daily basis, when you get it, because you only get it like at the end of the week, right? Or no, well, there's the daily open interest numbers, but like the what is it called? The COT reports or whatever it is that come out on Fridays, usually you want to have a pretty good idea of which way those are going to go already. If we got minute by minute open interest, that would be very valuable, but it's not available in the US markets. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, in crypto you get a lot of that information too. Because you want to know if like the orders that you're seeing are new positions or not. By the way, Treasury, moved up a little bit, got really close to the big. Well, actually, I think they went through that, didn't they? No, they didn't get through that. Oh wait, came up to the big order, kind of failed hard, and came back all the way back, didn't they? It was just like what it's saying is like, I'm a little suspicious that you just broke a high and you need to have a big bid behind it. Why? You know? You really know the news. I have just started with trading and found that technical analysis is, in my experience, I feel like you're missing a part there, but maybe you're going to say technical analysis is nonsense. Okay, so the No BS Day Trading Beginners course is like awesome. Okay, like you want to, I think everybody should read that. There's nothing else out there that kind of like explains what the game is, right? And how the inside book moves. Yeah. So it's really valuable. Just be careful coming in and taking what you learn in No BS day trading and turning it into technical analysis, right? So this is the thing that we see over and over and over again. Technical analysis is really all us. Like our brains want to see it. So the market, it could be the case. It's not the case. We've proven that this is not the case. But if it was the case that what was going on in the markets was completely random and unpredictable, right? There would still be a large group of people that thought that they could use technical analysis to predict it. 100%. 100%. We as humans, that's the way that our brains developed, is to see patterns in things and try and predict the future based on those patterns. That's the big advantage that our species has over other species on the planet and has allowed us to do what we've done, right? I can predict based on the yearly cycle when the rain is going to be and therefore when the best time to plant crops is, for instance, right? That's the sort of thing that we humans do. So the temptation is always going to be, when you find something, some piece of information, is to start trying to apply technical analysis to it, because technical analysis is basically what our brains do, right? But you're talking about a situation where the past data is not really very indicative of the future at all, right? Future orders are all that matters, and the future orders are very much disconnected from what has already happened, right? Future, what affects the future orders? Changing expectations of the future, like stuff that's not factored into the market already, things that haven't happened yet. Mm-hmm. Positive firm is, where is that? Can you give me a link, Lucas? You have permissions. Give me a link. Bias, I'm still optimistic for this week, but every day they take a little out of my confidence. Still think it could be a turnaround Tuesday today. Then Amazon rolled over at 11. Well, but I think it was Target that like screwed the market over, right? You gonna make me search? He's saying positive equity is called. I'm gonna search for positive equity trading or something like that. Proprietary futures trading in Dublin, Ireland. Hey. We will change your life. Okay, so I don't like him. I'm already like, you're looking for people to buy your education program or something, aren't you? Yeah, graduate recruitment. You're from Zagreb? Okay. I don't know where that is. We're going to search for it. Ooh. This is a place that I am not familiar with. The capital of Croatia. Wait, how is that a capital of a country? I've never heard of it before. I gotcha. I gotcha. That's cool. I was watching this thing on TikTok the other day, and they were saying that Italy and that whole like Greece and then that whole Slavic area, it's like if you go over, they will feed you. Like the further north you go, the less likely they are to feed you if you're visiting. But in Italy and these other southern areas, they're likely to. And I'm like, well, I want to go to a place where they can feed me every day. But then he was like, yeah, but then if they feed you, then it's like your own family can't feed you. So you don't want, so it's insulting if your own family can't feed you. And I'm just like, well, I mean, like in my situation, my family can feed me, but if we're honest, they're not super great at it. Like my wife's family did not, no, I don't think they ever had a consistent dinner time. And their appetite is bizarre as a result. They'll give you great food treats. Good. You know what? I'm probably need to be on a little bit of a diet though. I've been trying to do more aerobic exercise, although I think I'm taking it easy this week because I'm so tired. Like he wouldn't eat and go to sleep last, so I don't think I went to bed until like midnight. So that's already like, okay, I'm only gonna get 5-6 hours of sleep. And then he was his feeding in the night. He was not very particularly cooperative. But I think it should be changing because I think that there's actual milk coming out of those tits now. And now that he's getting food, I think that he'll be like a little like more interested in it. It's like, oh, food, this is really good. I like food. Because for the first little bit, the baby is just like not eating, not really getting a whole lot of sustenance because their stomach is just so tiny. Oh, you got me on a whole long set of tangents there, but that was, we had some good stuff. That's really interesting that they're hiring greedy students, though. I don't know. Like here's the thing. I'm not like a huge fan of the prop firms per se. Like especially not these like funded trader ones, but like it kind of I don't like that a lot of their model now has become like educating people. But I think that that's because the reality right now is that prop trading is really effing hard. There's a grade E student who's doing really well. More. Wow. Well. But like think about it. If you were a prop firm and you had a strategy that worked really, really well, right? And you knew exactly what to teach people and what to do it right, then you wouldn't just take anybody, would you? Right? You would only find the cream of the crop. It would be like a private, hiring sort of a thing. Find the very best and teach them your strategy and execute it, right? But with the way that they do, with the way that I see prop firms doing it, the hint that I'm kind of getting here is, well, we don't necessarily know what works great either. Sometimes we've had traders that have done really well. Otherwise, obviously, we wouldn't be a prop firm. But where future edge is going to come from, we're looking for it anywhere, and so we're hoping to teach students and hope that one of them figures something out that we don't know, and that allows us to make more money, sort of a thing. Like I think that there's a lot of that going on. And the thing that I find frustrating about it is that I do see room for more retail traders to be trading professionally through some sort of a prop firm, because there's all sorts of information that I see here in this market that would be valuable to us that we just don't have access to, right? Like the Wall Street analyst reports, that's all super important information that you can glean some stuff from. We've already pointed out that we don't have access to broker tech data. That's hard to get your hands on, apparently, as a retail trader. And then the thing from yesterday. So I kind of posted about this in Discord, but there's this website called ifre.com. Here's this lovely little story yesterday, because remember, we had really big investment grade issuance yesterday. So a lot of investment grade companies offered bonds to the markets. And that was a major factor behind why the market pushed down as hard as it did. And I only knew that after the fact because a Zero Hedge mentioned it, and who knows how Zero Hedge knew about it. And the only place that I can really see anything like information about this is on International Financing Review is this website. So here's this thing. IG primary starts off week with a bang. Oh, okay. So there was a lot of offerings. I would love to read this story, but you got to sign in. You got to sign in, right? And I'm going to bet you, because look, these guys are they're owned by Refinitiv, right? So that right there tells you this is going to be like a, the Refinitiv is the primary competitor to the Bloomberg terminal, right? So we're talking about stuff that's tens of thousands of dollars a year, right? So here's a piece of information that would have been very useful to us that we could have made a lot of money on yesterday. And I don't know what time this story was posted, but if we had known ahead of time, we could have made a lot of money off of this information, but we didn't have access to it, right? But if you were part of a prop firm, they could kind of handle those costs for you and get you access to those things. Because the other issue is, like, even if you're making enough money to pay for this sort of a thing, like, how do you get access to it by yourself? You got to have like the connections and stuff, So that's there's a place where I think that prop firms could help, right? Like the whole issue here is that the prop firm should be giving me access to research and information that I can't get access to otherwise. And maybe they do, and I just don't know it, but it seems to me that that's not really where their edge comes from. You know what I mean? Access to the bond cash market is tough. It really seems like it is, Lucas. I'm really surprised. All I want to know is, what is the current on the run 5-year interest rate? That's all I want to know. Apparently getting that information is incredibly difficult. And like, here's the thing that I think is funny about it is, like, the CME made this whole instrument hoping that retail traders would trade it and everything, right? Like they did this whole thing, and it's all based on the cash market. And like, who do they expect to actually market make that? Like, I think there's like 2 robots that are putting all the liquidity up. That's kind of frustrating, because it's like, I feel like that they're always just throwing you to the wolves. I think in this instance, I don't know if the CMA really thought it through, but like, you got to be talking to somebody over there saying like, well, if you really want retail traders to like straight up arbitrage this thing, like, they need the broker tech data, right? So I continually see these situations where they're like, sure, we'll let retail traders trade this thing and get involved in this market. And then they don't give you access to the kind of information that you would really need to be effective in that market at all. So they're really just throwing you to the wolves. They're setting up a situation where they expect the retail traders to fail. Maybe it's to the point where they just know that the retail traders will fail, and so it's like not even worth trying to help them or something. I don't know. But surely there is an option. I mean, there's a multiple options out there that kind of give you access to the bond cash markets, but the ones that I've looked at weren't really giving me live data. So the question remains, what is the best option for a retail trader to get access to broker tech data? Because everybody that I've contacted basically says, oh yeah, well, we don't offer that anymore. So kind of sucks. Well, do you think that the Treasury is going to go up and tag that big order now? The S&P 500 is still kind of on a downtrend, but it does look risk off, but it's not too bad yet in the S&P 500. I mean, we're still above yesterday's prices, 40.85 is not bad. Well, they're at 40.80. One last thing is they've got a tweeter. So what do they got here? Oh, John Grady follows them. So this isn't none of that was meant to be I wouldn't work for that prop firm or anything like that. I'm just lamenting the state of the industry, that's all. I wish I had heeded your warning about Obi-Wan. What a waste of time. Dude, okay, so if this next episode on Wednesday isn't good, I think they're gonna have a full-on revolt on their hands. I'm at the point where I'm I'm really not enjoying watching this, but I kind of feel like if I don't watch it, I will be left out of key Star Wars lore, so I have to watch it, But it's a bait and switch, isn't it? That's the thing that frustrates me is you want to go and watch Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen, go back and forth. That ain't been what you getting. And then when you had the one scene where it happened, it was what the F is this? I've had enough of 2-year-old Leia running away from a full-grown Jedi and what you're right. No. Did you see the Obi-Wan versus Vader fight though? That was really frustrating. I get there's this thing is if you're gonna have a good story, there has to be struggle, right? So if Obi-Wan is just this all-powerful, masterful Jedi, whatever, right? Would that be so interesting if he just absolutely destroyed everybody because he was in tip-top shape? No. So we have to make him PTSD Obi-Wan who hasn't been connected to the Force much at all for 10 years and hasn't been fighting at all and therefore just, crumples in front of Darth Vader, right? But that's not what we wanted to see. We wanted to see Obi-Wan, So no, after what I don't want anything more to do with that show, right? So you got this thing going, but then the thing that's really frustrating about it is that you sit down and you say, okay, well, they need a certain amount of conflict in the story and stuff like that. So that's cool. But then kind of what you start to learn is, oh, hey, there's these other characters in the show that are new characters. And everything that they do is perfect. Right? So now all of a sudden you're starting to realize, oh, the show isn't actually about Obi-Wan. The show is about Reva. The show is about Reva and it's a bait and switch. They're using Ewan McGregor to get you to watch, but it's not actually what you want. And Disney keeps doing that over and over and over again, isn't it? They get you in because they're like, hey, it's a new Star Wars movie, but then it's not. It's not actually a Star Wars movie, right? It's not the characters that we want and the stories that we want. It's these new characters that we don't give a crap about. Right. And maybe it would be nice. I mean, it's nice to have new characters, sure. But the ones that they keep making just keep being awful. Right? Like the one character that they've done through all of this, Boyega's character, right? The stormtrooper guy in The Force Awakens. There was like the one good character basically got sidelined. They took him off the poster because apparently Asian audiences don't like black people on their posters, something like that. But then they gave him a more limited role in the last, the last two movies. Like, yeah, what I really don't understand is why Ewan McGregor agrees to all of that. I don't think that the people in Hollywood, the actors and so on and so forth, really understand and see what's going on. Best broker for future allow you to use Jigsaw? Well, you can probably use just about any broker that you want, but the most popular is going to be AMP and Tradeovate. I think that's probably like 70% of Jigsaw customers. And then if you want to plug it into NinjaTrader, you're going to use NinjaTrader brokerage. But there's lots of good brokers that you could use. I really like the Edge Clear guys. I've talked to them a lot, and they know what they're doing. And I'm sure there's lots of others that I'm like forgetting, but anyone that offers Rhythmic or CQG data, really. Can you use? I don't. Well, you can trade the Bitcoin futures, and now they have micro ones, but I don't think that there's been too much of a focus on cryptocurrency stuff in Jigsaw because it's just really not. It's kind of this really strange. It's really this really strange dichotomy in the cryptocurrency world, because in the cryptocurrency world you have much more access to the kind of data that we're always complaining about we don't have over here. But you have an instrument that, is not really very good for scalping, because if you're wrong and it goes against you, you can just get slaughtered. What do you think of Iron? So I got a video coming out. I think it's going to be next week, where I talk about the Iron Beam app. They've got some stuff going on over at Iron Beam that I'm actually really excited about. I don't think that the majority of you guys that are here every day will necessarily use it. You can go and try it out. It's called the Iron Beam app. They have like a mobile application and a desktop web application. It's a really a simple setup that they have, but it's still exceptionally powerful. I mean, they have a full featured dominant, for instance. So it's really cool. But the thing that I find exciting about it is just that it's so easy to use. Like, if you want a demo for it, like literally you could already have the demo up and running since I've been talking about it. That's how quick it is. They're doing their own data. So all you got to do is push the button, put your email in to get the demo, and then they send you the credentials immediately, and you put them in, and you're good to go. You don't have to do any installation or anything like that, unless you can use the web app, right? So it's so fast to get started, and I think it makes futures way more accessible. And you can use Iron Beam for, like you could use Jigsaw with it, but you wouldn't have access to that system. That's different. No leverage for scalping cripple. You need much higher. Yeah. Well, the issue. So here's the problem that you get is, if you're doing what we would, so there's two ways of doing this, in my opinion. Okay. You can either be the market maker or you can be the informed trader. Okay. Now, market making is kind of a tough thing because retail traders it's really hard for us to compete with the robots, right? So if you're going to do market making, you really need the right instrument. You really need something where you have an advantage of some sort, right? Now you could find that in some shitcoin out there, right? Could be some shitcoin and you're trading on some no-name exchange or whatever. Not no-name, but not Coinbase, right? And you build all your own stuff and you set up your own market making. Yeah, you might be able to make money doing that, right? But in Bitcoin, there's already a lot of professional algo traders out there trading that. Okay, so then your other opportunity is to be the informed trader. And because of the unregulated nature of the cryptocurrency market, there is always going to be these situations where there is a piece of news, like a big piece of news, and you won't know what it is. Like usually when something's moving in the treasury, about 80% of the time that there's a big headline moving the treasuries, we know what it is, right? But in cryptocurrency, it's like almost never. It's like almost never until long after the fact. And so you just got this whole thing where when there's an adverse excursion, right, against you, you could get an adverse excursion that completely blows you out and you have no clue why. And that's why I feel that cryptocurrencies is not very favorable to the day trading, essentially. Unless you're doing algorithmic trading and you're already like into it. I think that crypto makes way more sense for trying to swing. And when I say swing, I mean like a 9-month trade sort of a thing if I was going to do crypto. But what kind of information do you get in crypto that you don't get in stocks and treasuries? Well, for starters, you'll get full level 2 information for free. Like you can, I've made my own level 2 tape that connects to Coinbase, and I get all that information through a WebSocket, and you just have to connect to their API, right? They don't have that in stocks and futures. Like in stocks and futures, you have all of these intermediaries that you have to go through, and it's like, why can't I just connect to the exchange? Whereas in cryptocurrency world, the exchange is everything, and the exchanges have put a lot of effort to make things accessible to you, right? Are you a scalper or a day trader? What I would say is I'm day trading speculator. Is what I'm mostly doing in the treasuries, right? Because I'm not going to take a trade unless I feel that I have a piece of information that is effective at predicting what the future orders are going to be for that day, right? So that's why I call it speculative. Yeah, I wish I knew how to read Arabic, but I don't. I wish I had more time to learn languages, but and maybe the man, it's hard to be dedicated to too many different things, right? I've got like 1 or 2 things that like I'm super dedicated with right now, and I don't have time to fit in more to learn Arabic or Mandarin. I trade 125x leverage with what? Jeez. Well, that's a lot. Well, so what I found, Vedran rather, what happens all the time is that I'll meet people that are doing really well in cryptocurrencies, and then they just get wiped out one day. Like that's the thing that's really frustrating with it, is that a lot of these. So a big one is like, what is your average winner compared to your average loser? What is your largest winner compared to your largest loser? And what I often find is that a lot of traders that are doing well, the first thing that I'm always looking for is they're probably taking on excessive risk. Like if you're having success as a retail trader, it is a very high likelihood that taking on excessive risk is a part of your strategy. Okay. Because that's like one of the few things that we as retail traders can actually do, is we can take on more risk than we probably should for a trade, right? And in cryptocurrency world, that's particularly deadly, right? If you're taking on excessive risk in crypto world, and then you get one of those moves, because the problem is that in Bitcoin could just all of a sudden drop to 20,000 just like that before you'd even have a clue what was going on, right? And then there goes your account. So I've never met somebody that lasted more than 2 years doing that, let alone 5 that we would have to have before we would say like, oh, that's a good strategy. Yeah, you should do that. Maybe people should emulate it. And you see on MBO data, what about it? It's really cool. I don't think that you need it, but there does appear there is a study where this guy was doing, he had a machine learning model of some sort, and he ran it with the non-MBO data and he ran it with MBO data, and the additional features that he was able to generate from the MBO data appeared to help the strategy. So there is some evidence to suggest that the MBO data is helpful, but it's not like necessary. There's still pieces of information in there. I have to say the real, if from the perspective of, if I'm going to be a market maker, that is, I'm only looking at the market generated data, price and volume and whatnot, what would be the piece of information that we would need to really like be more effective with this? And I think that it would have to be who you're trading against. You knew who sent the market order to you, or who the limit orders that are out there were. It would be a different game. MBO data doesn't give us that. Or even if we just knew if it was opening or closing a position, that would be a game changer too. By itself is just an alternative to liquidity view. I mean, there is some useful information contained in it, like I said, but it's just, you're 1,000% right. That happened to me with crypto. People last 2 years get money or lose all of it. 95% of people lose all of it. Like, it's not hard to make money. It's not hard to make money trading. It's hard to keep it, man. Because what it almost always ends up being is I'll hold a really huge stop and take a teeny tiny little profit that's just the noise, right? Yeah, that's the easiest thing to do. But really what you want to do is you just want to know what it's going to do, right? Have a piece of information that gives you a really good chance of predicting what it's going to do, because then you can get the best of both worlds, right? You can get something where you can take a trade. It shouldn't go against you very much. When it does go, it can move quite a bit, right? And you can take on the excessive risk with it without having to worry about the getting slaughtered as much. I want to trade treasury. Well, so I'm using Jigsaw, is what I use for the DOM. And I'm using NinjaTrader brokerage, but really any futures broker will give you this stuff. Now, something that you got to look out for, Vedran, is when you set up a demo account, the demo accounts usually don't give you access to this. Okay, but once you like sign up for a broker and everything, and you just make sure you're getting CBOT data, and you'll be fine. MBO is helpful when they pop up in, oh, I bet. Just being able to see that like a certain amount of that is this one order, I think is useful. I don't think that, I mean, there are some platforms that are kind of like incorporating MBO data into it, but I don't think that we've really completely taken advantage of it even. Like there's probably some ways of representing the DOM and so forth with that additional MBO data that would be more effective, right? NT is awfully slow. It's not slow. It's different from Sierra charts. The way that they update is different. I wouldn't say that it's objectively worse one or the other. I think that the reason you go for NT is because the ecosystem that they've created. Like, it's so easy to make indicators for NinjaTrader, and there's so much stuff out there for NinjaTrader. Whereas with Sierra charts, they're probably the runner-up in that category, but it's a lot harder to build stuff for it. And that's why NinjaTrader has been so popular. But I don't know. No platform's perfect, right? I should make my own platform. I kind of want to make my own platform. You know what I want more though? I want a trial subscription of IFRE to see if there's really super useful information in it or not. Because with what I can see on their website, I don't know if it matters or not. Do you think the future rollover dates have an effect on the market, or is it only the expiration? So I'm not quite sure I understand what you are trying to ask, but there is seasonality based on when the contracts roll over, okay? And at the beginning of a contract, which is like right now, instruments tend to be more sensitive. Now, the one thing you've got going on here is that the S&P 500 hasn't rolled over yet. So once the S&P 500 rolls over, then you'll probably start to see a little bit more equity treasury correlation, right? Because what's happening is people that are taking longer term trades in ES, right? Like they want to hold it to September, they're going to try and hedge the interest rate risks. So then they're going to come over to the future and take a trade there. Besides John Grady, who else do you recommend to learn myself? So like, here's the thing. What John Grady teaches in his course is like, this is the game. And I don't think that anybody explains the game as well as he does. I would just be careful about turning it into technical analysis, right? Because he has like these setups and you're going to say, okay, when I see this setup in this situation, yada, 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 then that should be a profitable trade over time. Well, it's not. What you want to do is you want to know, hey, why does it move that way? And which way do I actually think it's going to move? And then you should be able to predict like how it's going to happen, essentially, right? So I think you start with that. But, I have, for instance, on my channel here for free, we have the stylized behavior of markets video, which is a research-backed synopsis of basically everything that we know about how a limit order book market moves. Like behaviors that you will see in a limit order book market that are truly consistent. And I mean truly consistent, right? That would be like the real technical analysis, right? And a lot of that stuff kind of explains some of the things that Grady talks about and sees, right? And then I talk about the book that we get all that stuff from and the research that you get that stuff from. That's where you get to like the more valuable knowledge, right? There are more advanced knowledge, let's say. Why you don't like scalping range of 10 seconds to 1 minute high volatility? Like here the thing is what is it that I have that's going to tell me that I can predict the orders over the next 1 minute, right? Because what people typically show me is something that like only has a 51% win rate over 1 year, and like, is that really an edge? It's probably not. That's probably not going to last 5 years. Well, despite that strong move up that we had at the beginning of the session, it's been pretty quiet so far. I wonder if we're going to have a day similar to yesterday where, eventually it really strongly trends in one direction, even though it seems like it's not going to be going anywhere. I mean, in equity futures, you normally roll over 1 week before expiration rate because there's more volume, so this might affect the market. Well, it's really, it kind of varies by market, but I've found that it's really like 3 days before it that they start to roll. So I don't know. Like here's the bigger thing though, is that there's a lot of people out there trying to teach you technical analysis kind of stuff, right? Um, who out there is teaching you like how does the treasury market work? Here are the things that affect the treasury market. Here's the seasonality of the treasury market. Nobody's doing that. Nobody's doing that. I'm working on some videos where I kind of put some of our knowledge down, but a lot of it is experience, man. That's why it's like if you're new and you're getting started with the treasuries, I think that coming here and watching this stream is like the best the best place that you can go. And I don't think that you're going to be interested in sticking around here forever, but you could do a few months. You're going to understand a lot more about the treasury market, and then a lot of it is you're going to have to figure some things out on your own. Hopefully, you come back and share them, but trading is hard. Trading is not like I said, we're basically being thrown to the wolves, right? Like we really don't have the information to. When is the video? So might be a few weeks. So I have a video planned for Monday. Excuse me. I still have to record it. So I got to convince I think we need to take a day. I'm off all this week. So one of these days we'll probably have grandma take the kids to the pool and I'll record it then because the part that I need to record just should be relatively short. And then I have another video that I already recorded, but I haven't edited. And who knows, maybe when I get into editing, I'll decide that I don't like it and I'll go and record it again. But that one is on options gamma, right? And then after that, I also have a product review that I'm going to do, but I haven't gotten that one. I haven't gotten the hardware yet, so I don't want to get into that one too much yet. That's one's not for sure until I have the hardware in my hands, but it's supposed to be on the way. And then probably the bond video. So it might be, best case scenario in 4 weeks. And I'm sure that what will happen with the bonds is it'll be multiple videos, right? Like the first one is basically going to be like, what is a bond? What affects interest rates, right? And then we'll see how deep we can go. But I'm sure that eventually I'll get down to it and I'll find that it's like a 12-page document and I'll consolidate it down and into like 4-part video series or something. But I don't think that I would put I don't think that there's going to be anything in there that you don't already know, Lucas. Maybe just like they, remind you, but because it's basically just going down the list of things that we know of that can possibly predict future orders in the treasury market, right? Investment grade corporate bond offerings. That's one that a lot of retail traders don't know about. That is pretty important, right? But that stuff is important. I think this is why ES is so popular, because in ES you don't. What can you pull out of that? Ding ding ding. Is it program? What do you want to tweak about it? Unfortunately, so the version that I have, the version that you get with the suite, that one, the code is not available. There is a free version of it out there that you could modify, but probably what you actually want to do is take the spread that I'm using and then use that as an input into your own strategy. Upper band and lower mid. Yeah, that's what you would want to do there is use that, create an indicator that adds the indicator into the indicator. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, so Ish, what I have a spread indicator. So like there is a free version of it out there. That I put on Futures.io and everything, but the one that you get with the $100 speculator set indicator package at speculatorset.com. The difference is it will auto roll over for you. So when you roll over your main chart, it will roll over which futures it's looking at for the spread automatically. That's the first part. And then it will, there's a candlestick version of it so that you can watch it on like daily bars. And there's also some advanced logic in there for historical versus live data. Now, if you want an upper band, lower band, and mid band, what you should do is just something like this. As you come in, you should program it yourself. Oh, what's going on here? Okay. You do something where you make a new indicator, my custom indicator, and then you'd come in here and you'd say, using ninjascript.indicators.speculatorset. And then in here, you would create a double class indicator, and then you would say SPS spread, my spread. And then in here, I'd say else if state equals state.configure. And I would say my spread equals SPS spread. Let's see here. SPS spread. And then I'd have to put all the information in here, right? ZN. What is it? What is it right now? 5 to 2, right? 5. ZB 2. Then user provides months false. There we go. Then on bar update, I could use, now I can come in and I can say my spread of 0 or whatever the deal is equals, or that, you know. So then I could come in here and I could do add, what is it? What do we normally use? Oh, add plot. Right. Add plot. Upper. Right. And then value of 0 equals some, however it is that you're calculating it. And that's how you do it. Yeah. Well, you could pay me, but like now is not the best time for me to do programming work because I got a baby, right? And to me, part of the value of having the indicators is it gives you this flexibility to come in and program your own stuff, right? Why do I use knob instead of nub? I don't know. Because the knob is more popular. Do you think that the nub would be more valuable, Ash K? You know, I don't think that the ratio of it is too dramatically important for how I use it, because all I want to know is which way the spread is going. And usually I can see that from looking at things, right? Normally I can just see it on my DOM, the shape of it on my DOM. But, if I want to look at it historically, that's really all I'm doing with it. So, I don't know. Ashka, did you hear all the stuff that we were talking about earlier where we were going through investor... Sorry, what was it called again? International Financing Review, because they had this. I found them through a Google search about investment grade primary starts off week with a bang. So these guys kind of provide some of the best data there is out there on like the fixed income market. And I'm like, there's got to be. I just any kind of source that I can find like that's like more available to retail traders, I really want to find. Oh yeah, you just turned in. Yeah. Anyways, we were talking about this. I was like, you know what? If you'd known that there was going to be 16 different corporate bond offerings on Monday, right? And therefore that it was a sell, that would have been a great trade, right? But I can't find much information. And the question is basically is twofold, right? What is the best kind of like news analysis on the fixed income market that would be available to a retail trader? And two, what is the best market data, aka access to broker tech, that you can get as a retail trader? Because I've been having a very, very difficult time finding both. It's like everything that you can find out there is really geared towards institutional customers. Of course, right? So if you have any recommendations for websites, I'd appreciate it. And you're probably like the one of the few people that would really have a good idea. Oh, I get you. What you're saying, Ashka. So Ashka is saying that the nub is more like a 10 to 30 spread, whereas the knob is more like a 7 to 20 spread. Sure. But for what we're doing, does it really matter? I don't know. I think that would matter very much if we were getting into are there tendencies in different parts of the curve, and like if we were trying to find some sort of technical statistical regularity in the spreads themselves that we could try and trade directly, which I'm sure exists, but I haven't gotten into as much because the tools that we have aren't as well suited to it. I think to really do that well, NinjaTrader needs the ability to create a synthetic instrument. And then all of the backtesting software and everything would play a little bit more nicely with it. Is Treasury speak significant? What do you mean by that? Anytime that a member of a central bank comes up and talks in this market, it's been important. You could say that. Hey, maybe they break out higher here, man. I mean, like if they make a new high, is that where we're at? Yeah. If they make a new high here in the Treasury, then that would make it look like a really strong, consistent trend. Like all of a sudden it would start to be like, why aren't we long? All right, you see, I didn't see the so I haven't gotten any notifications in ZN for large limit order book changes. There's a decent amount at 08 though. Yeah. That was there from like earlier, wasn't it? But it's the amount that is like above what it's normally is, like maybe 1,500. And maybe there's 2 separate guys there or something like that, right? So I don't know. I'm trying not to read too much into that particular big order. I don't know if it really means too much. Yeah, there was some fills at that price already, wasn't there? Like what I see right now. Actually, let's try it. Well, I would have to do it a different way. Okay, stop limit at 08. Let's see if we can catch the edge. Probably not, but probably we won't if it goes through. But this would be kind of a situation where it might make sense to try and catch the edge at 08. Catching the edge, meaning that I want to hit into 08 just as we're about to eat through all of the liquidity, so that as when I take my long, it's bid at 08 and I have the opportunity to scratch at 08 immediately if I wanted to. How much do you make yearly trading? Nothing, really. Well, I think last year I made like 1,000, like all of my trading activities combined. It's really not no, this whole thing of like I want to make a living from trading, that's not really a very realistic goal for most people. You would really need a really big wad of cash to do that, right? Because if you're making like 20% a year, that's like amazing. So if you know 20%, how much money would you need 20% to satisfy your current lifestyle, right? So I for me it's more of a hobby. And that's how I would approach it, because it takes like years and years to even like be breaking even, right? So you want volume to trade right at your price of entry? Not necessarily. What I'm looking for here in this instance is that this order right here is holding the market back. So if I can hit into this 08 like as soon as it's clearing, if I'm one of those last orders that clears it at 08 and we get bid at 08, there's a pretty good chance that they're going to trade at 08, half, and 09. Right? So we've talked about catching the edge before. Right? Now you're right. If I do get that trade, like if I do get in on that, that's not one that I'm going to want to keep on for very long, because that 08, okay, so I did get it. We'll see if we can get 2. So like in this situation, okay, the bid was okay. A little bit has hit into 08 half, right? So I could exit at 08 if I'm feeling skittish about it, which I actually am a little bit. I hope, but it's not too bad. The market is still kind of slow, so. But I would prefer that they had already taken out 08 half 09, that there would have been like some stops or something, right? New high wasn't a whole lot of stop orders on it. So like, I'm going to keep it on just so that you can see what happens if it works out. But okay, there you go. I would maybe just be market ordering out right now though. Okay, cool. There we go. Right. Not pretty rare that it works out that nicely, but you know, I want to be clear that that wasn't just like a okay, when you see a big order at a high, hit into it. No, don't do that. But we already kind of had a situation today where we kind of suspected that the treasuries were going to be continuing to move up and that we are getting some strong trend up, right? So if the only thing that's holding the treasury market back is that one big order at 08, then hitting into it to catch the edge is a great play, right? And I'm actually surprised the way that it turned out. That totally would have worked with live orders too. So just read that article about IG issuances. No idea what it will do or where to follow up. I have just been a tourist in the corporate bond market. Right. Well, like so here does when you view it, so you can view it then, huh? You have the subscription for Refinitiv. Because my first question is, when did they post that? Right? Did they have information on their website earlier that suggested that was going to happen? Right? That's the big key. Is like when I come in, what I would like to do is be able to come in at the beginning of the day and see, okay, X IG offerings are going to happen today. Here's how much money it's going to be, right? Like that would be valuable information to have, right? Okay, so I only took two ticks out of that, but it could have gone. I could have gotten a lot more, couldn't I? No, I just copied that article link that you were showing. Yeah, I don't. Oh, well, so that's weird that it let you read the story because it won't let me read the story, but maybe I've already had like my free article or something. I don't know. That's called trading. Yeah. Anyways, that catching the edge, I don't think you could get a better example than what we just had there. If I wanted to burn money on Reuters or Bloomberg, I would rather drop it on CME Direct. Isn't that market data? One-stop solution for futures, options, and block trades across all 6 major assets, utilized by both institutional traders and brokers. Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. We're looking for any piece of information that might be available to us as retail traders that might be able to help us predict future orders, right? Because it seems to me like there could be some information out there that's available to us and like nobody realizes it, right? Like nobody realizes it. That, oh, actually this will give you the on the run 5-year live. Hey, that would be useful. Yeah, I get you. I think I am sick. My brain is affected by a lack of sun and too much computer. I think that I'm too sleepy still. I think if I had taken a trade today that I would have tried to have gone short at like 3.3. And right now I'm looking at it and I'm kind of thinking this could continue to trend. But the market correlations are a little wonky here, aren't they? Because part of the reason why we were kind of favoring buying the treasuries was because the market looked very much risk off, especially with the way the dollar was going. But the S&P 500 is pushing up on the open. So, it may be the case that if we had taken that trade in the treasury, that we were just kind of lucky. Okay, so how long did it take? So I've been doing this for 5 years. I have to say, it took me about a year and a half before I think I really truly understood what I was even looking at, right? And I think there was a lot of things about the market that I didn't understand until I had read the Trades, Quotes, and Prices book, which I summarize in my video about the stylized behavior of markets, right? Once you get it, once you understand all that stuff, like the market makes a lot more sense, right? So you could probably get to the understanding that I have a lot more quickly than 5 years, right? Now, in terms of like practicing, if you're looking for like offline practice or, outside of market hours practice, what I would do is I would go and find, so here on my channel, if you go to the channel page and you scroll down, there's my past live streams playlist. And then I would go back and find an old live stream because there is like replay data in NinjaTrader 8 and stuff, but it's not quite the same thing. So I really feel that if you want to like replay data, the best thing to do is to watch video. Right? Watch video and just say, okay, here's where I would have liked to have gotten in, or just look at it. And the nice thing about it on video is that you can like speed it up too, right? The only reason why that trade works is the same reason why hitting the market at any price would work in this one-way street market conditions we have once it begins trending. Well, so I think that the edge in this particular situation is like we're adding. It's just a way of entering into a trade that gives you a slightly advantageous position, right? Because if you know that it's going to move up, right? And so you hit into it just as it's leaving, you never catch adverse excursion. And you are, in fact, helping to push the market up, right? So it's just kind of a tiny little thing. On its own, if you were just doing that just on its own, catching the edge done properly should cancel out the disadvantage of the spread, and so that would be break even on average. But it's just the same thing. Like if I wanted to go long and I had seen that there was maybe before we had broken out there at 08 and we came down to 05 half and I saw an iceberg there or something like that, maybe I would have joined that iceberg. Because the iceberg is a situation where you can get an easy fill with a limit order and there's less possibility of it coming through you. And if you're right about the overall direction, then here's another situation where you can get fill on the limit and like it never go against you, right? But I think that the edge in that particular situation was more that we had a pretty good idea that it was going to extend to new highs, right? And so it was a combination of knowing what the longer term trend was, catching the edge, and knowing that because it was going to be a new all-time high, that there was going to be some puking. So, that's a great way to, if there's a big order and you know that it's going to go through it, hit into it. That's great. They're putting a bunch of liquidity in there for you to execute against. And usually when they break through those big orders, there's a little bit of a flurry of activity afterwards. They really conclusively break it. There any sellers? I don't know. I'm still a little suspicious about what's going on here in the market today. I'm not 100% sure I know why the treasury is moving the way that it is. The thing that's nice about the catching the edge in the icebergs is that this is a situation where I can show you conclusively that there's an edge to that thing. There's some degree of an edge to that thing without having to use like the math, right? What's a reasonable monthly return? Well, 1%, yeah. You're catching 3, that's good. Okay, so if you were like a top market maker, or sorry, if you were like a top hedge fund and you made like 30% a year trading a single asset, that's you're like top of the industry, right? So wondering if it's more with them. Like the thing is I think the DOM is really important just to like even understand what's going on. But I'm going to bet you that if we went through and did the statistics that, you know, something like 80% of retail futures traders lose money, and that statistic doesn't change when you look at people that are exclusively using the DOM, because there's just so many other things working against you, right? It's like a key component, but it's not everything. Like really seriously, if you are obsessed with markets and you want to be actively engaged in markets and you would do it regardless of whether or not you make money, then this is the place to be. Okay. But if you're just you hate your 9 to 5 job and you would like to make more money, then go learn how to program. Because that's the best gig in this economy to make money is programming. Trading for retail traders is not very profitable these days. Very, very few traders that really actually make money from it. This is just the stats. That's just the stats. And I've done okay. I think that if I think back since September, I'm definitely down from some mistakes. But I think that I am still kind of in this space of in many instances I take on too much risk, and I think I'm still sorting out when I should be trading and when I should not, because usually when I take bad trades, it's really like, why was I trading there? There was no reason for me to trade. I hate 9 to 5, so I do 5 to 4 OGs. But it's hard. What was I trying to get at? I was always trying to get at that. Like, I have enough edge in this that like when I'm doing well, it'll pay for the data fees, right? But I don't make a living off of it. It's unlikely. I don't want to set anybody up for that's what you're gonna get. I mean, that's what I should say if we wanted the most people to watch this as possible. Oh my gosh, guys, I'm making $200,000 a year doing this, and I'll show you how to, and you can all do it too. That's what people usually tell you, right? It's nonsense, but nope. I have a day job. I have a day job, and when I do make money from futures trading, it's not really all that much to speak of, because we're trading a teeny tiny account. Lots of opportunities with funding. Well, there's a lot of problems with funded accounts, right? I think we talked about that earlier. I don't want to go into it again. Sorry. So what are we getting? Canadian IVPMI? Is that what you're talking about here with D was saying? Yeah. Well, the Canadian IVPMI came out at 72. I don't know why my news quack isn't yapping here. But It does look like they formed a little bit of a node here at 10.5, so I'm thinking maybe we might visit 8, and that might make a good spot to buy. Otherwise, I'd have to take it anywhere in here. Very curious that monster order at 06 in the 5-year. Oh, that is a really big order. What's with that? There was kind of a pivot there. Let's see here. Elon Musk illustrates my fooled by randomness point. Solid financial success is largely the result of skills, hard work, and wisdom. But wild success in the far tail is more likely to be the result of reckless betting, extreme luck, and the opposite of wisdom, folly. Explanation: the point is simple. For the most classes of probability distributions, you get to the tail by increasing the variance or the scale rather than raising the expectation. Da-da-da-da. That's directly relevant to what we're talking about here, right? So you get these stories of these people that they made millions of dollars from trading, right? And how are they doing that? They're reckless trading, and you get lucky. More like the people that are out there that are like, oh, I've made so much money, you should listen to me. It's far more likely that they made it from luck, rather than that you'd be able to copy their success. Now, on that point, I find that Nassim Taleb is far more vulnerable to his own biases than he maybe realizes. Like, I kind of get the feeling that Taleb doesn't like Bitcoin because he thinks that it's like a libertarian wet dream. So there's a lot of people, I see this a lot. It's kind of a funny thing that I see in the crypto world right now, is that people that don't like Bitcoin, they claim that it's a right-wing conspiracy, not a right-wing conspiracy, but it's like one of those right-wing nut job sort of things. But the reality is that liberals are far more likely to own cryptocurrencies than conservatives are. Probably because of age differences, but liberals are far more likely. The majority of Bitcoin holders are liberals. So take that for what it's worth. My friend made $130K from $100 playing craps. He said when you're up $50K, you need to say, let it ride. I may only lose $100. Yeah. It really is. Really is. Never talked about luck. I talked about context. Or are we still talking about the catching the edge trade? I mean, look, it's a thing. Just watch how I try and get filled, right? I'm always trying to take advantage of the book and where I get filled. So it's just a tiny little thing. It's probably not enough to make money on its own. But when you combine it with everything else, it's just that one little thing to get you over the edge. Because I know, like, if we're going to have a trend up, I can hit, like, it shouldn't go against me. Like that trade, if it really did, I was getting nervous there because they weren't trading into the 08. Eventually they did go. But like if 08 broke and then like 07.5 was start, I would have scratched out of it. Like that shouldn't be happening, right? But if you're trying to look at this from the situation, like if there is a large order at the high of the day and I try and catch the edge on it, which in this instance was a stop limit order, a stop limit volume order with 300. So once the level 2 got below 300, I would try and hit it with a limit order. That trade overall probably should come out break even, given that context and everything, right? But I'm always taking that trade when I enter. Usually, I'm relying on the bigger edge. Although I think I was lucky this time. I do think, because I'm not 100% sure why the treasuries are moving up as aggressively as they have. The S&P 500 isn't falling apart. Could just be a retracement of yesterday. Like maybe they say, well, because it was IG issuance, maybe it's not. Maybe treasuries shouldn't be pushing as hard as they were yesterday. Needs to come back a little bit. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what's this thing that Bitfinex just tweeted? No, it should break even it should in the end. Like I think that if you did that over 1,000 trades, theoretically it should be break even, right? Because you are it depends on how often you scratch it, right? So if you're scratching it enough, and I think that you would probably, it should come out to be like winner well, actually, I don't know. I don't know what the percentages would be exactly, but maybe you break even like 20-30% of the time, right? But it's probably not going to be. You're going to break even on it after 1,000 trades. You should, right? Because what is the advantage here? The advantage here is hitting into it and immediately being long, so that you didn't actually pay up the spread, right? So I can immediately scratch it. So if you don't scratch it ever, then you're not really necessarily getting an advantage out of it, right? But it's only a favorable entry, right? But I don't understand, like, you don't have to approach it from the math perspective. It's self-evident that there's an edge in that. Like there's literally there used to be people that made money just from doing that, right? And there are robots that make money just from doing that. It's just we're not fast enough. We're not fast enough to do it. Like the best way to do it is to have an alligator sitting out there, right? It's like maybe as this came back, I have limit orders sitting here, and so like maybe I'm 500 in line. So then when it goes into the 10, I can hit into it with my order when there's only 300 left there. And then it should only take 300 orders for them to fill me at 10. And then that would be something that would make money over the long run. You'd have to be fast, right? So, I mean, there's an edge in it, in catching the edge. It's just, it's not enough of an edge for a retail trader to make money from it on its own, right? But if I have a larger edge, if I really know what direction it's going that day, and I already have the volume in line with me and everything. The idea of being able to scratch a trade on +1. Well, you have to be pretty strict about it, right? Like the scratching would have to be like, if I don't have more than X limit orders bid on there after X seconds, then I scratch it, right? But it is just objectively better to hit into a price and then immediately be at break even rather than to hit into the price and be down a tick essentially for 5 minutes, right? That is more optimal. So if you're taking a trade with a larger edge, anywhere that you can actually catch the edge is great. And that was just kind of a situation where we had enough, right? Wasn't just like we knew what the trend of the day was. We also had a situation where we kind of expected that we would be able to predict what the orders were going to do in that short time period, right? And then I think we just kind of got lucky with how it played out that we got filled. Like that's another thing, is that's one that you usually won't catch. Only so many people can catch it, and it's surprising that it let us catch it for one that was so clear. But it's a trade that's like so obvious. Well, it's not obvious. I think that most people, they come in, they wouldn't think to do that, but it's like amongst traders, it's like amongst order book traders, it's like the most commonly done thing, right? So usually you're not going to catch it. There's a lot of competition for it. I think we got lucky that we caught that one. Or shall I say, like, if you were trying to backtest this, the best trades you probably wouldn't get filled on. Like if you did a backtest on it, you have to have good data. You have to have better data than what we've got in NinjaTrader, right? And then it would say, oh, here you took it here, 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 and here. But like the best trades would all be ones where in real life you wouldn't have gotten filled. Like it's a limit order, so it would still be sitting here at 08 and nothing ever traded back into it to catch you, right? That sort of thing. But I still maintain it's a teensy weensy edge, but it's objectively an edge. It's better to get filled from catching the edge than to hit into it with a market order and then sit 5 minutes before it ticks up. It's just better. It's the same with the other trade, which would be the iceberg, right? Because the one where you get a problem is you think you see the edge, and then there's an iceberg there, and it never ticks through it, right? That's where that trade gets screwed over. But if there's an iceberg, right, it's the same issue as if I buy it and I get filled, I don't ever want it to go through me. The optimal thing would be that the iceberg holds and it moves up, right? And if you can find that situation where that happens, there's a small edge in that getting filled on the iceberg, easy limit order fill that doesn't go against you. And if it does go through you, then that's no good, because then it's probably going to take a few ticks down, right? So you kind of got an edge with a little bit of a positive and negative scenario on there. But if you already know how it's going to turn out before it even happens, because of whatever larger edge that you have, then you start to get into some more powerful stuff, right? So we got lots of new names today. Y'all making me a little suspicious. Like what's going on? Well, I don't know who Nassim Taleb is. So Nassim Taleb wrote a book called The Black Swan. No, wait, was it called The Black Swan? I forget what it was called, but he was the guy that made the concept of the black swan famous, and he is a statistics genius that made a fortune in options and now spends all his time doing scholarly work. Yeah, Fooled by Randomness. I don't think that the book Fooled by Randomness was where the black swan. Let's go in here. If you want to read this stuff, here's the way to do it. Is the 5-book bundle. Oh, it is called The Black Swan. Fooled by Randomness, The Black Swan, The Bet of Procrustes. I don't know how to say. How do you say that? Procrusts, Anti-Fragile, and Skin in the Game. And then there is a technical encierto. And there's going to be a second technical encierto coming out this year, I believe. Has several. Yeah, but this is the one you want. Like it's so. What he became famous for was this Incerto series, which is basically this is him saying like, this should be the basis of your learning, right? Dynamic hedging is his only good book. Dynamic hedging became before this, didn't it? I think it is. The issue with Taleb from a trading perspective is that he's options, right? So yeah. So look, here we got this situation again, right? There's a large order at 12 and it's at the high here. So does that mean we're in the same context? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. And the thing that bothers me about it the most is that we're right back at 3% again. So like I'm kind of looking at this move more and more as like a mean reversion. When we had it earlier, it was like early in the session, there was like very clear pressure. So this time I'm not sure enough about it that I'd be willing to take a trade on it. But if I saw the pressure and I thought that we were going to continue to trend up, then hitting into the 12 with my stop limit volume order would probably work again. Dynamic hedging probably more suitable for institutions, yeah. Like here's the thing. If we had, maybe someday we'll get the opportunity. If we had Taleb here with us today to speak to us, and we said, okay, so what is like some statistical stuff that would help us in trading futures? He would probably say, don't trade futures. I bet you that would be his answer for us. Like, tell us something that can help us. I bet you that his answer would be, don't trade futures. Because if he's trying to make money purely from the probabilities, an instrument where you have to make a binary decision about where it's going to go up and down and you don't have any control over the profit function is not a favorable trade for him. And then at that point, I think that he would maybe, if we could talk him through, because he understands this stuff, like he knows about some of this research, that basically you'd have to know something. You'd have to know something that makes you think that you know what direction it's going to go and that the market hasn't priced that in. We'll talk about how having ink squid meals is better than trading futures. That's right. I totally forgot about that. When was that? Last Thursday? Friday? By the way, what's this? I keep seeing this Anthony Crudelli trade. Oh, there you go. If you're trading NQ or ES, you have to keep up a chart of the 10-year treasury to see what it's doing. And he has a quick video on it. Cool. Cool. Oh, you know what? I never read. So I was reading something and then I kind of got distracted. So this guy on Twitter claims that he found an exploit in Telegram that allowed him to snoop on private messages. I'm going to say probably not. Because isn't the whole thing about Telegram that it's like encrypted and stuff? And he's going to be publishing experts, the first of which will be on June 15th. Excerpts from crypto influencers ranging from as little as 800 followers to as much as 1 million followers. Discussions pertaining to racism and homophobia, of adultery and sexual assault on members of the public and those within crypto communities, those with 8 to 9 figures and high amounts of Twitter followers, discussing rug pull projects intended to scam the community and individuals dating back to December of 2019 through February of 2022. Killing and stealing the crypto of an individual with a group of friends, coordinated through Telegram. No. They killed a guy and then stole his crypto. His friends killed him and stole his crypto. What the fuck? Seriously? Uh-oh. We getting that on Discord again? Thank you for notifying me. That's his tag. I don't see what you just posted. Oh, or did you send it to me? No. It's still holding a ZB lung. Think we'll break higher from here? I'm not 100% sure. I certainly see the possibility of it happening. I mean, like, so with where we've been right now, we've been in a pretty consistent uptrend. And at the moment, it just looks like we're in the ranging stuff. And so there's a pretty good possibility that in the next, I'm going to say 15 to 20 minutes, that we'll have another leg higher. It's probably not quite ready for it, but with the way that this has been going, I think there's a pretty good leg higher. But the big but is that this 3% in the 10-year is a pretty key level, right? So that's where I'm kind of like, something that I could feasibly see happening is another push higher to like 14 and then reversion. There's also 16. 16 can kind of be a little bit of a magnet sometimes, but 8140. That's weird. Well, you should report them. I don't think that there's anything I can do about it, actually. Other than, I can ban them from the server, but I don't see them on the server. Yeah, message, because I don't see him. Like when I come over to the list, I mean, there's me at the top as admin, right? I want to come down in here. I don't see a speculator Seth in here. Nada. Otherwise, I would ban him. He's appearing offline. Okay, let's try. Oh, there is one right there. Mm-hmm. I'll just. So can I change his name? No, actually I can. I'm gonna just do that. Dun, 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 dun. There. But make sure you report him to Discord. Like you can get like at the top on the message there should be a little place that's like, if you think that this message is suspicious, report it to Discord. Yeah, report the account. Yep, I banned him. I got him. And Discord probably won't do anything about it, but at least then we can continue to complain about how useless Discord trust and safety Steam is. Well, so we haven't moved higher yet. We're kind of down into the bottom end of this range. At 10 is kind of a little bit more of a like place where I feel like I could gamble a little bit, you know? I'm not going to take any live trades still, because I'm really I really do not sleep well. Yeah, well, this has been going on for a while, but nobody's ever seen what they're trying to do. They're just immediately, you're not speculator, Seth. Oh, yeah, there you go. Oh, this guy is trying to, this is Vinny. Yeah, that's Vinny right there. I'm gonna pull it over here. I almost guarantee you that's Vinny. Hello. I realize market has been swinging and most members have been losing money. Thus, how are your market performing? I'm up. Great. Are you basically into day trading or just hodl as well? Yes, despite the lows, I'm sure you're making good returns. What are your average returns thus far? See, he's poking in for information. I don't know why he would do it as me, but that is kind of sounds like Vinny to me. No. It's there in the downloads channel, D1. Hold on. Let me find it for you. I'm going to show you. You're going to be like, oh, I'm so dumb. So I come into Discord in downloads and I search spread. Oops, it sorts it by channel, I guess. Gosh dang it. I wish that I could tell it to only search in this channel. Okay, wait. But it's going to be pinned messages, right? Spread. There it is right there. Happy link. But again, all this is just a more basic version of the indicator, right? All of the things that you can do can be done from within your own indicator, utilizing the calculation that my indicator gives you, right? So you would just build on top of it. But to be honest, I don't really see why the thing that you're talking about would really help you, though. But that's why I'm saying, like, you should write it. It's a simple thing. It's a simple thing that if you go and you watch my videos on programming, you could figure out on your own. Seriously. Would like to know where in the forest. Right. But all looking at the code of that is going to show you is just it's spread as, the front leg times the front leg ratio minus the back leg times the back leg ratio, right? That's all that's going to tell you. The other stuff about how I handle the live data and automatically roll them over and all that stuff is, my little secret. Not that it's like a hugely difficult, but are we risk on now in ES? It sure feels like it, doesn't it, Lucas? This is why I'm a little confused in the tenure, because I think that in the beginning we were kind of leaning long in the tenure because of risk off sentiment. And then what have we seen? We've seen risk on, but the treasury's still moved up. So what's with that? I don't know. Your cat is clicking on your thumb. That's where you just switch it to a sim account, right? I usually will keep it switched to a sim account until I'm ready to trade it. If I'm going to trade a live one, then I switch it to a live one. That way there's no chance that I accidentally click on it or something, which has screwed me over. Because remember, there was a little while ago, was it Friday? I was like, oh, this is a good trade. I make $10 off of this. And then I accidentally took it on the sim account. That sucked. That one sucked. This is something that I've kind of learned recently, though, is like, I if I have a bad series of losses or whatever, like, it can really get me down for a while. But then, like, you forget, it was like, after that, you kind of forget them. You just have this memory that you've had losses in these situations and stuff, but you don't always remember every specific little trade, right? Which kind of makes you wonder if you should really be as focused on the trade as you tend to be when you're in the moment, right? Oh yeah, so we were reading this thing. So on June 15th, this guy is supposed to publish these experts next week. But what he's claiming sounds okay. Here, I'll read it. Over the course of these next few weeks, I will be releasing 137 gigabytes of Telegram group chats and messages, of which I was not a part of. This is all thanks to an exploit in October of 2019 that allowed one to access the group page with recent messages if proper permissions were not set up. At the time of writing this, the team at Telegram have been contacted about this. I've only ever seen 2 people mention this exploit in passing, one in person and one on Twitter, so I know I was not the only one. Those who know me will know who I am very soon. For the rest of the populace, it doesn't matter. Due to the overwhelming amount of messages, I formally invite reputable press within the community to reach out in order to obtain simple archives from groups I've already curated. I will vet you because there is a conflict of interest, as many are involved personally, whether being friends of those individuals in this archive or related financially in one way or another. You will receive a 7-zip archive ahead of the time. 3 years ago, a vulnerability on Telegram was discovered by a colleague of mine. He did not take it to its final outcome. By exploiting this, one could recreate an invite to view the overview page and recent messages of any Telegram group of an individual user without actually joining said group. Okay, maybe the exploit is for real. Because I was thinking, oh, Telegram, it's all encrypted and stuff, right? So how would you break that? But it sounds to me it's like a phishing attack, essentially. Right? And he just put it on a server and they just kept coming in. Spying on them became a hobby. Well, that's all very interesting. Let's see here. June 30th. Project creators from the top 200 MCAP projects, from yield farming projects to stablecoins to AMMs, all designed to start to siphon funds from the majority of users. Discussions of everything included from the crypto influencers, invitation to orgies on private jets, mansions, VR settings, orgies everywhere. Sexual assault, rape, and pedophilia, including pedophilic orgies with victims as young as 8 years old. Oh my gosh. Assassination, not once, not twice, but 3 times, coordinated through Telegram. What? Lots of adultery, weird obsessions with ex-girlfriends. Dude, okay, I'm still really skeptical that this guy has got what he's got, but like, it kind of sounds to me like he's purporting to have some stuff that would end the cryptocurrency community as we know it. Asking Twitter employees to personally delete and or ban accounts relating to incriminating information? What? This thing is going to be massive if this guy comes through. If this guy doesn't come through, I'm going to be so mad because it just sounds so great. Okay, here they go. Here are they going to come. Should we try it again and see if we make it? I don't think that it's going to work this time. It might be a little bit more complicated. Yeah, I don't really like the way it's sitting there either. Oh, Yellen is speaking. That's a good reason not to do it too. The gambler in me says do it. Says do it with the order there. Oh, actually, there's probably an iceberg there. No, I'm really not quite sure, Tobias. I really think that what's going on right now may just be that we moved pretty strongly yesterday because of investment grade corporate bond offerings. And so they all come in and sell the treasuries to hedge that stuff, right? And now today, they don't really see a strong reason to be selling, and they're just mean reverting. That's kind of what it looks like to me, at least, is that this is just mean reversion. Okay, so that I would say that did not work. You would not have hit into it at 12 yet. But already this is not looking like the same situation. See, this would maybe hit you in. But like, look, I'm going to bet you that more than 500 trade there before they clear it. So it's not the same situation. Which sucks because I'm a little hurt that Lucas doesn't believe me. 3,000, yeah. Well, hey, there's the reload. If they reload again, it might be worth taking. The Russell 2000 is really strong right now. Let's see here. Oh, not bad. Well, there you go. Good would have worked, I guess. Actually, with the way that that one happened, there's no way we would have gotten filled anyways. But with that one, now it's really like this is a strong trend. This is turning into take the level break every time. Like even here, look at all that volume at 13. You might even see reloading at 13.5. Have you ever traded IPOs? I've not I did one of the stocks that I bought in 2021 or whatever was an IPO, but it hasn't done very well since the IPO, so but I bought it like a month after it had IPO'd. I waited a little bit. Darn, no fill. No fill. Well, as I was kind of trying to say earlier, though, right, is like the ones that are really obvious, you're just not going to catch because it's going to be too fast. There's not enough backflow coming into it. You would literally just have to hit into 14.5. Now at 15, that one kind of gets interesting too. But that one is like you've already had a ton of, there was a breakout already and they're coming up into it. So you don't want to take that one. Have you ever, no, crypto ICO, no. Yeah, that whole mania back in 2017 with the ICO craze, like, I still think back on that and it's like, what the hell were people thinking? Oh, we're just gonna randomly buy securities from people for projects that, well, I don't know why it makes us think that they're going to be worth anything in the future, but there's icebreaker 14.5. Well, we don't have to know everything about what's going on in the treasury market, but this is turning into quite the strong trend without much of anything for me to see why it would happen. So if I was trading life today, I'd like to think that I would have taken one, but maybe I just sit on my hands. Maybe I would have just sit on my hands. How is your baby? Well, I think he's doing okay, but I'm like ultra sensitive to like everything he does, and I've been worried about him eating because I don't want to have to get baby formula, right? Well, so this one right here, I'm thinking about it again. Ooh, look at that. That might actually be doable because we're so close to 16. What does it take to raise? Wait, what? Why would you ask me that? Only real food. Oh, I see. Well, he's been breastfeeding. Sometimes seems like he's good at it, and then sometimes it's like it takes like forever to get him to latch on and shut up. Do you own land? I mean, I own the land that my house is built on. It's not a ton of land. I have chickens on it though. Why? Why? You know, chickens are great pets because all you really have to do is give them food and water. Okay, so the one at 15, the catching the edge hasn't happened. The one at 14.5, I'm going to say did not do what I wanted it to because I thought there was going to be more absorption there than there should have been. So I could try scratching out, but We're probably okay. Want to get some land and become self-sustaining? Well, that's a lot of work. Sounds like too much work to me, NASDAQ killer. Farming is hard. Don't they feed? No, you buy them chicken feed. I mean, I suppose they could eat insects, but I don't think that they get enough just off of insects. Unless you were like really out in the middle of nowhere. You were going to let them be feral. See, that's not. No. So what I'm going to do here, if I was just scalping, I think, I'm not sure I would have taken that 14.5 anyways. But I probably should be scratching out at -1. On this one, I'm going to try taking on a little bit of risk for it, okay? Like I'm going to, just in case, I'm going to put an order down here at 12. Hopefully this just doesn't turn into a reversal, right? You pay taxes, you own nothing, don't pay them for a while and tell me what you own. Wait, what? So the point is on this one is that this is not a good example of catching the edge, nor the reloading iceberg level break trade. It was just a good example of Seth getting ahead of himself, because it did not actually fill me the way that I wanted it to. Like, I'm kind of thinking, I don't know if I had a really strong reason to think that it would reload at 14.5. I think I was just kind of hoping that it would, because it would be fun, right? If they come back up there to the top, though, I think you got some good, with them being so close to 16, you know, probably the room for them to push up a little bit again. When there is grass, everyone is fed, but when there isn't, I will feed the chicken their own eggs and the cow the chicken. Don't know if that will be self-sustained, though. That sounds like, why would you want to put in that much work, though? Like the thing is in the situation where that would become a thing, maybe it's just better to be dead. I don't know. You know, if there was like a civil war or something like that, and that's the world that we were going to come into, where there's like no food, like the whole production in the United States just falls apart because of civil war and stuff, I would rather be killing communists. Yeah. Sorry, honey. That's a little better. We're all commie now. Communist killer Seth. Don't tell me. I mean, don't say that. YouTube might not like me talking about killing communists. What? Bloomberg tweets, more than 40% of respondents say they know someone who is transgender, an increase from 37% in 2017, and 20% say they know someone who's non-binary. Well, that's odd to me. So I'm going to, yeah, no, I think I'll leave it there. Can we drop ES? Yeah, we could. You want me to go long over here so that it will drop? I was gonna go too far with my next question, so I better not say it. No, all I'm saying is that I hate communism, and if there's a communist revolution in the United States, that I would rather die in the fight than live under communism. That's all I'm saying. That's okay to say, right? Bitcoin is actually having a little bit of a move up. Please do. Okay, here we go. I don't actually want to mess with. I actually want to go short here in the ES. I kind of like the way that it's turning. Not that my intuition on that sort of a thing is that good of a sign in ES, right? But the treasury seems to be moving okay here in this situation. Like the 5-year is ticking up again. The 5-year looks like they're gonna go right for that 06. So I don't like the way that I got filled on that first order, but that second order, which I think was at 13.5, I could see there's a bit of an iceberg. There's already 2,000, and I did get filled on that one. That's the way that you'd want that to play out. Now, whether or not it goes up because, from there or not is not the edge, right? The edge is just getting filled on the iceberg. So we need the larger edge, which is that they're going to come back to 16 in order to make money off of this. And, taking on excessive risk, which is what I'm doing right now. U.S. Treasury spokesperson, U.S. persons are prohibited from buying Russian debt and equities, including in the secondary market. Okay. What's this? Matt Scalp. I don't know who that is. Our dishwasher broke yesterday. I was informed that a replacement will take over a year. What? Wait, what? What? I barely remember the Carter years. No one will ever forget the Biden years. A year to wait on a common appliance? Socialists have made building things in America a green nightmare. Is that for real? Many stores are now facing surpluses on items like casual clothing, home goods, and even kitchen appliances. Okay. When was this first tweet? That was May 11th. Oh, wow. So they went from you won't be able to get your dishwasher for a year to we have too many dishwashers in the space of a month. Wow. Sounds like it's time to go shopping, folks. Okay, I do not like that bid at 13.5. Well, so now what I'm seeing though. So I don't like it when I feel like there's a bid trying to shove it up. But in this situation, the book overall is thicker. So we're having a good trend here, and I'm seeing a thick book because that's pretty thick at 14.5 and 15, and then there's one at 16, and then on the bid side we got 13.5, and we got one at 11 and 10 3,000s. That's actually a good sign. So probably need to be a little patient here, but I'm really interested what's moving these markets today. That ES is still it kind of looks like it's turning over. I haven't gotten like a clear pivot yet, but it's getting there. Blessing in disguise. Maybe manufacturing comes back to the well. I don't know how that makes manufacturing come back because they have too much stuff now. Basically, there was a big supply disruption. Nobody could buy anything, and then they made a ton of stuff, and now they have all this stuff and they can't sell it. So doesn't that kind of suggest that consumer goods will see some deflation? That they'll have to give everybody bargains to get this stuff out. Sucks for anybody that paid up for it. A tree that falls in the forest that may or may not make noise should move ES down and get me to take profit. Right. Well, this trade right here that I've got going on in the 10-year, I would say it's not going so well. Like I am going to take like the risk on it, but so far it's looking like 14 around there was not a good place to get in. That was they can't push through yet. I bet you if I hold it long enough that they will eventually touch 16 today, but right now doesn't look very good. Nope, doesn't look very good. Oh my gosh, I am being ADHD. You know what? It's just the sleep. I got to tell you, even if I've got my medication and everything, if I'm not sleeping well, I'm going to be more ADHD. And then if I'm not trading, I kind of let myself go, and then I really get more ADHD. So I just had this thought go through my mind about, because remember I was having problems with my router? Still having problems. I downgraded it the other day because I suspect that it might be the firmware. So I went back, changed the firmware back. But if that fails, then I think that it means that my router is bad and that I need to upgrade. So I don't know who it was, but one of you guys told me to go and look at the Ubiquities, like the Unify Ubiquity routers and stuff. And that I just went down the whole big rabbit hole, because then it was like, well, why not make your own router and all this sort of stuff, right? Make your own router, get a separate switch, etc., etc. Ugh. Ugh. You can spend a lot of money on that stuff, apparently. And I don't know if I would actually get anything out of it other than, the one thing I do like about it is that I would like better monitoring and, yeah. I thought the lower import number would bring inflation fears. Well, man, wouldn't it be funny? Do you think that we could, that deflation is actually a risk here? Because this week was the first week that I saw anybody saying anything about these inventory problems. Well, no, I take that back. It really started when Walmart and Target did their earnings and got slammed for that, right? And now all of a sudden it's a big deal. Pull those big boys, the train is coming. It hasn't pivoted yet. Oh no, wait, it did pivot. Yeah, it pivot. I'd say we'd probably safe to go short here in ES. Wait, what? Right-wing provocateur Milo Yiannopoulos is working as an unpaid intern in the congressional office of Georgia Representative MTG. Oh my gosh, what? He's an unpaid intern for MTG? That's a little weird. Well, maybe he gets into real politics. I don't know. And there's like a video of him here. Oh no, that's just a picture of him from one time. Those are just old pictures of him. That's weird. You set up an arrow. I think I've seen that in all of the stuff that I've been looking at, and I didn't actually look into that one. So here's the thing on all of that. Is Unify were the ones that came in and were like, hey, let's make like enthusiast level routers and stuff. And so they got some stuff. They've got like these Dream Machine Pros that are like these rack mount switches that got like everything on it. It's like you can buy one that has built-in hard drive space to record all of the stuff from your surveillance cameras and stuff. Like it does all this crazy stuff. Well, there's the problem. Oh, I like that iceberg at 13.5. The nerds, shall we call them, which I would consider myself a part of, but I'm not a networking nerd. That they don't like Unify anymore. Apparently they don't like the direction they've been going, or there's been problems. And then on top of that, there's been supply problems, right? They've just like everybody else, like you can't buy them anymore, basically. So like there's all of these other alternatives. And it kind of like the thing is like the more I read into it, the more it's like, Jesus, seems like the networking guys don't like any of the networking hardware out there. Really, what they want is enterprise level hardware. Okay, that's a little better. So if that fills, I'm going to cancel this since I've already kind of caught it from the iceberg at 13.5. And the fill here will kind of fix my mistake when I bought it at 14 originally, right? Okay, cool. Now it gets me along from 13.5. I'm happy with that. But I still think likely that they will bust through this big order at 15. You got a bit of time. It's about time for me to get going, but we can wait and see if it busts 15 here in the next, like, let's give it till 9:10, and if it doesn't, then I'll quit. And you'll have to watch on your own to see if it goes through. Anyways, so I don't know. I've been stuck in router world. Here's the thing. I don't want to spend money on a router right now. I'm working on a desk. I think I'm going to get those new, I think I'm going to get 3 separate monitor arms. Probably not going to do it for a month or 2. But I think I'm going to do the desk thing. It's going to be cool. And then after that, maybe a new PC. So I don't want to spend like $1,000 on networking software or hardware that I probably don't need, frankly. Okay, so there's still a lot of volume there in the 14-15 area. So like I think I'm probably okay, but it doesn't look like they have what it takes to get it through at this very moment. GFX are down. Well, it could go down even further, right? I still have a 56K. No. Like if I'm gonna do it, like I'm kind of feeling like if I'm gonna go into the enthusiast level, like I feel like that for your standard home network gamer kind of setup, that the router that I have is about as good as it gets before you have to go into enthusiast level stuff. And I feel like if I'm gonna go into enthusiast level stuff, I have to do it right. Like I have to use PF Sense or something like that and set up my own router and have all of the different apps and all that crazy stuff. Yeah. And a really fast switch. Make it so that I can get like utilize the full connection that I get from fiber optic, because it can go up to 10. If I'm willing to spend like $200 or $300 a month, I can get 10 gigabit, right? I don't think I would ever use that, but could upgrade to the one. I think I'm doing 250 megabit. I could have gigabit though, but I don't think that we utilize it all. Okay, here they're stepping up to it again. Maybe a little bit better of a bid this time. Let's recenter things to get they're not quite lined up. Would like to see the 5-year a tick or two higher. But 1,000 bid at 14.5, that's not bad. Yeah, anyways, so you were saying now's a good time to build a PC. I don't think it's quite there. I think that it's going to get better. Like think about this. Man, that this little, I'm going to be disappointed, aren't I? This whole thing about this guy that he has all of these Telegram messages. Okay, like if this doesn't come through for me, and it's all fake, I'm gonna be disappointed now. I'm skeptical, but you can tell I'm already emotionally invested, aren't I? This could be like the end of cryptocurrencies. It's just it excites me a little bit, and I want to see big things from this release. And then if that did happen and we saw a further collapse of the cryptocurrency world, then come on, there would be so many graphics cards out on the market. And Nvidia is already about to drop another generation. What Telegram message? So there's a person on Twitter that claims that he found an exploit that basically allowed them to target a specific user and see all of their Telegram messages. And in a week from now, it was the 16th, right? June 16th. So next Thursday, I don't know why he would pick next Thursday, but next Thursday, he's going to start releasing the first trove of messages. And one of the things that will be in the trove of messages will be a bunch of friends colluding with each other to murder their friend and steal his cryptocurrencies. And a bunch of pump and dumps and all sorts of other crazy stuff. So the stuff that he was claiming to have was would probably have a pretty big impact on the cryptocurrency space. If it's for real, the crypto well footer guy, I don't know. I don't know how legit it is. Seems like something that would have to be pretty... It's a pretty massive claim, let's say. But he's already saying, hey, journalists, I'll give it to you. You got to reach out to me and I'll give it to you. That sounds like he's serious. I don't know. Sounds like it's serious, but it also sounds like an extravagant claim that is extremely unlikely to be true, right? Because there's not any big bid at 15 anymore. There's 3,500 is traded up there, though. We're probably about to tick up, it looks like. The 5-year goes. There we go. New high. No, it's not crypto whale. It's not that. Yeah, note, a real whistleblower blows the whistle. They don't tell you that they're going to blow the whistle and give their enemies an opportunity to stop them, says Bitfinex. Okay, so the user account is a dying nobody. Here, I'll link it. I'll link it. A dying nobody claims to have some crazy leaks. Everybody knows about pumps and dumps, yeah. But it was like, this was like top 100 projects and stuff too. Like, it sounds like scandal all over the place, but I don't know. It's probably all hype, right? It's probably all hype. They're like 20. Well, you know what? I'm sure that there are a lot of projects that started with good intentions. You know, it's something I see happen a lot in the cryptocurrency world is like these guys will have this idea, this cryptocurrency. Oh, this is so great. This is such a great cryptocurrency. We're going to change the world. You should buy our ICO. And so then they ICO and they're all like millionaires now, right? They're all like millionaires now. And then they never do anything. And you're like, well, so was it just a pump and dump scam? Well, no, I actually think that a lot of these guys are really fully intended on coming in and working, but then like they already made the money, so why bother? You know what I mean? Like I think that there's a lot of these cases where these guys fully intended on doing something, but they were out of their depth, or they just weren't dedicated enough, or you know, they already made their money, or who knows what, and so nothing ever happened. But I think one of the larger problems is that a lot of the things that these people want to do in the cryptocurrency space are impossible. And they're just naive enough to not know that it doesn't work. They're not as technically sophisticated as they think they are. I personally don't see really big programming names getting into this, you know? Like the kind of person that, you know, you find out has been working at Google and has been developing a new language for Google. Like I don't see any of those guys making cryptocurrency projects, right? All of the people on like the programming subreddits and stuff hate it. And I think it's because they're like me. That's like, they look at it and they go, oh, this does not actually do what they claim it is. This is not actually good technology. Everybody's just being taken in by extravagant claims, and it's not actually good tech. Well, this trend in the treasury is looking pretty nice. From like a how far it went perspective, it's not super crazy, because remember, well, we opened here. I guess it is half of a point. But, you know, where we were at when we did that initial one was 08. It went quite a bit through there. But in the larger scheme of things, we come back here. We'll look at it in the 10-year. Mostly a retracement of yesterday's move. So I don't know if it's actually a big deal, and I'm not 100% sure why it's even happening to begin with. So could just be mean reversion for all I know. But it sure seems awfully strong, doesn't it? I wish that I had a piece of information that, I mean, it's kind of weird. I don't know if sorry, Lucas is still there. I don't know if Lucas is still there, but do you kind of feel like that your theories were confirmed, or that you were just lucky? Because this kind of move up has kind of been, well, there was the 16. So that was a good trade. I mean, we've got a really strong trend, so that really helps, right? But we can pull some stuff out contextually, I guess. But I sure would like to know. I feel very much out of the loop in the fixed income space these days. No, he's probably off to doing other things. What, like, the whole thing was, he said it looks like risk off, we want to buy the treasuries, and I was like, yep. And we were right, but like for the wrong reasons, probably. I don't know. I don't know how he feels about it. It's kind of weird. It was kind of a weird day, don't you think? It's kind of been a weird week. We got a lot of stuff coming on up here. So, like, today, not really much of anything. Oh, there is a 10-year bond auction tomorrow, though. Okay, so when we get the auctions, I don't know if it's going to be as big of a deal with the bond auctions, but especially for the bills, I would be a little bit worried about there being enough demand in some of these, because the Federal Reserve will not be buying as much as they usually do, right? So that's a problem. And then on Thursday, we've got an auction and unemployment claims. And then on Friday, we actually have real news. We got CPI and consumer sentiment and stuff. So it's just a little weird. We've had a week where you would expect it to be relatively quiet, but I guess there's still a lot of volatility in the bonds, and it seems like they're still making moves. I'm not sure if it's moving like this just because that's what the volatility has been, or if there's like some real stuff going on here that we're not aware of. I'm a little worried that it's the latter, but I guess I can just kind of sit on my butt until I feel like I know what's going on. What happens to Treasury futures when auctions happen? Well, so empirically, there's a study out there. I'd have to go and search for it again, but we have it linked in the Discord in the learning channel. Generally speaking, treasuries tend to fall going into the auction and rise after the auction. But the key thing that we want to watch for this month is that the Federal Reserve is engaging in reducing of the balance sheet. So that doesn't mean that they're going to be selling securities. Instead, what happens is they have securities that are expiring every month, and they have like a certain amount that they're going to. Well, like the way that it works is they come in and they buy a certain amount every month, right? And they want to reduce their balance sheet. So what they will do is they will not buy as much this month. And where that's going to be felt the most is likely to be in some of the short-term bill auctions. So you might see more selling than usual. Yeah, I'm not working this week, right? So we decided to stick around until we got that 16. Looks like it came back, but they did eventually give us our trade. The way that it's moving right now, it kind of is making me think that this could trend all day, but I'm really hesitant to say that because again, I just don't really have a good info on this today's move. Anyways, so we got a 10-year auction tomorrow. We want to be cautious about any possible selling around that tomorrow, right? Because we could get into a situation like we had a couple of months ago, right? When was it? Back in March, I think it was, when we had some auctions that were like really bad, right? So bad that it even like affected the equity market, right? So there's a higher probability of that happening because the Federal Reserve is reducing their balance sheet and they will not be buying as much. Now, maybe other people could step up and buy it, but who knows? Who knows? Anyways, I have gone too long. So, really strong bubble up move here in the treasuries today. Going to go out touching the edge and reloading off strong trends. Because that's what we did today. Although that second trade that I took was not such a great example of it because I made mistakes, right? At 13.5, there was iceberging and that would have been fine. But where I originally took my trade wasn't very good. And I had to sit in it for a while. But it did eventually go to the prices that I wanted, which was this 16 area. So, and the reason I like the 16 area is because that's half of a point. So there tends to be a lot of volume at 16 and at evens, which would be like 118.000, right? So to have such a strong trend and for it to stop short of 16 would be unusual, which is why I made the bet on them making another push up and pushing through that large order again. All right. Very contextual. I don't know. That was a little bit of a gambly trade because again, like I don't have like any kind of order flow predictors for today that it seemed to explain why it's moving out the way that it is. So, all right, guys, I will see you tomorrow. In the meantime, stay profitable.